Hello friends of Cosmic Agency, I am Gosha. How are you doing today? We are going to present to you a short video with some bits and pieces of information. And here I'm saying we are going to present to you because it's going to be Anéeka's information, and at the end it's going to be something from Yazhi Swaruu. So I'm just going to relate to you what was said in these different topics. I don't know if you remember, but some time ago when I was still living in Barcelona, I used to make these videos with a little bit of information here and there on different topics, something that maybe wasn't enough to present to you in the full video as a separate topic, but as this kind of a video with varied information. Okay, so what I have for you today is something about the mysterious radio burst that appeared recently, and Anéeka is expressing herself on that. Short information about Harp activity, then something very short about those upward rays, sprites, mysterious jellyfish weather phenomenon that appears here and there. Then I'm going to share with you a part of the conversation with Anéeka that we had about the appearance of some of the Nordic races. And then I will also mention Billy Meier, yes, wait for that, Billy Meier. And at the end I will quote something that Yazhi Swaruu said recently regarding the topic of DNA and vaccines and all that. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so first I have Anéeka's comment on this information that came out quite recently in August. Here I have the article online that was published on the 25th of August, and it is titled "Mysterious Radio Burst from a Galaxy 3 billion light years away that appears to repeat every 157 days. Just woke up right on schedule." So these are some strange radio bursts emitted, and they seem to be repeated on a repeated schedule. And well, as you know, some time ago, very recently actually, we made a video about how the extraterrestrials communicate. That was Anéeka as the source of information, and as you know, the extraterrestrials do not use radio waves. That's very archaic for them. So Anéeka here is expressing her opinion on those mysterious radio bursts that repeat every 157 days. What are they? What are they? Well, Anéeka is saying here that the stars emit radio waves, actually. Sometimes, I'm reading here, sometimes it depends on what activity they have on which side. For example, by their sunspots. So each time it rotates, it seems that they cyclically send out a burst of radio waves. So that's quite possibly natural phenomenon. Or it could be someone outside trying to send a message to humans, knowing that they only listen to the radio. And why? To make it clear that we are not alone in the universe and that there are more people outside of Earth. As I said, it's not the normal communication method used by the ETs, but it's what the humans use to look for the ET signals. So maybe there's someone trying to send something through the radio. However, most commonly it's the stars emitting those radio waves. And here I'm asking Anéeka, will that radio message, if it's coming from the star, make any sense when deciphering it? Or is it something random? And she says, I would have to see it. For me, it's just a rotating star. That's normal, and they all do that. Only that for some reason it is stronger and has caught their attention. The fact that it is full of ETs outside the Earth does not mean that most of the things they detect are not natural. And here Robert is commenting, yeah, like that Oumuamua object that the NASA is saying they have discovered. And here Anéeka is saying, I think we mentioned some of that earlier. Here Anéeka is saying, for me that's something else. It is an invention of NASA. That thing is short, barely more than 100 meters long. The number of such objects outside the Earth is astronomical, not to mention ships of that size and larger. It doesn't make any sense from my point of view, declares Anéeka. I have no way of knowing what they are supposed to see there in that discovery. As I said before, it's like saying a white four-wheeler passed by on Interstate 99. Really? Do you know how many white cars with four wheels pass by every 10 minutes? Which one are they talking about? So that's that on this topic. As I said in summary, the radio burst is probably a star activity on its rotation. Okay, now here we are asking Anéeka about Harp activity, because she mentioned there is some new Harp activity. And well, she's just saying here, in terms of functions and activities, they are the same, just that they already have improved technology and no longer use those thin square antennas that used to occupy an area of a soccer field. They are smaller and mobile, or in facilities that are not easily seen as Harp. They look like phase radars, or those that do not need classic rotating antenna. They have been installed in vehicles, on boats, and even on airplanes. So just that, you might be wondering what are these bits and pieces of information here and there. It's just that I like to share with you all these parts of the conversations. You know, they are usually parts of the larger conversation, but there is nothing really to be shared from those larger conversations, because maybe it's something more personal, or not work-related issues, and then something like this gets thrown in. So I do want to share that. Like, for example, another thing is here, Anéeka mentioned those upward rays, sprites, mysterious jellyfish that sometimes can be seen in the sky, a strange weather phenomenon. And she's saying it is an atmospheric phenomenon of rays towards the stratosphere from lower clouds. It is plasma that is ignited by the superheating of the atmosphere by localized rays. They are seen from orbit almost daily. Every day they can see those mysterious jellyfish sprites. Very beautiful. They are quite a view. And she says they are seen from orbit almost daily, yet you never get tired of seeing them, because some are really impressive. But most are just localized glares. It must be something, no, to be up there on the ship in the orbit and to be a witness to all these fantastic weather phenomena that we cannot really appreciate being on the ground. So here, moving on to the next subject, we have touched on the topic of Taygetans, Engans, Solations, Antarians, and how they look physically. Yes, because with Anéeka and Yazhi, we just go into all different types of subjects. You know, the conversations can go into millions of different directions at once, and we never know where it is going to go, really. So sometimes these interesting things come up, like for example here. Okay, Anéeka is saying that Engans, they are the space Vikings, Pleiadians from the star Electra. They look like Taygetans, but more like the population of Scandinavia on Earth, to the degree that they could be totally confused with the Scandinavian person. And some of them are also with dark hair, not necessarily all blonde, and they are not as big as Taygetan men. Taygetan men are taller, and women are a bit stronger as well, with stronger facial features. So these are engans, men and women, and here Solations, for example. Solations is another type of Pleiadians, and they are very white hair, white skin, very, very light eyes and eyelashes. And here she's saying it's like a classical idea of the Pleiadian and typical extraterrestrial, but at the same time, just remember, there is no such a thing as a typical extraterrestrial, because we haven't really seen any, so we don't know what is a typical extraterrestrial. It's all just some kind of a fantasy or new age representation of what they are supposed to look like, or reptilians, or this and that. But there are all kinds of extraterrestrials out there, and many of them look just like us. But here Solations, they are almost like albine looking. And then Antarians, on the other hand, they have white skin and dark hair, like in this photo here, dark hair, and also light eyes, almost white, and as I said, dark hair. Taygetans, here I will present you some photos that Anéeka shared from the internet. This is a representation of what the Taygetan women look like. Very cool, very cool, very cool. Myself, I kind of like the Solation look, and I also like Antarian look. As you see, I like dark hair, and my skin is light, so I actually dye my hair. My hair is light brown, but I like to dye it darker. It's like my favorite look at the moment. So okay, that's that. Let's now go into something more serious, and this is Billy Meier. Okay, as you know, or maybe some of you do not know because you are new to the channel, this information coming from Anéeka, from Yazhi, from Taygetans, is actually coming from the same race, and actually even from some same members of the same team that contacted Billy Meier. Yes, his contact was real, it's authentic, it's they were Taygetans, they were Taygetan Pleadians, so I can definitely confirm that. However, as many people point out, there are contradictions between Billy's information and our information. And our information is being constantly compared to Billy Meier's information to see if there is a correlation, if it matches. And actually, in some places it doesn't match. And why? And I'll explain why. Because actually Billy Meier, especially after he lost the contact, he invented and added a lot of information, and that was simply not true. Now think about this logically. If this crew who we are in contact with was not who they say they are, and they just tried to deceive us as they are from the same crew as Billy Meier, of course the first thing they would do, they would study Billy Meier material, especially main facts, in order to match that information and to use that as a validation for the story. But they don't care. Why? Because they are telling the truth from their knowledge, from how things are, and they do not care if it doesn't match Billy Meier. They don't want to perpetuate what he came up with because it's simply not true. And I will tell you now some examples of those differences. Here Anéeka is saying, yes, people see a lot of contradiction, but it's not our fault. We know well what Meier was saying, and if we wanted to falsify this contact, we would have studied it well, so as not to contradict ourselves, right, with it, and use it as support to verify ourselves. But the truth is that the things are not how Billy Meier says they are. And there is a long list of those things. And we are simply not going to perpetuate that just because it contradicts some of his info. And here she's explaining, specifically in regards to Meier saying that there were 400 million Taygetans in Erra alone. And we are saying that there are only about 38 million on the 4 planets. I don't think she's saying there were ever that many Taygetans. It has always been a race of few inhabitants. It is the Angan Pleiadians who are many. So that's not true. That's first thing that is different from Billy's Meier information. So our information, here she says, our information differs because it's ours. And if people choose to believe Meier more, that's okay. His words against ours. He made up a lot of things. More than half his photographs are fake. Yes, some are real. Yes, because he was allowed to take photos. Some are real. And he made up a lot of things when he lost the contact. Unfortunately, that's sometimes what happens when people lose the contact and they want to continue, perhaps being on the spotlight or whatever reason, continue with the story, they keep adding information. That's what happened here in Billy's Meier case. So here, he made up a lot of things when he lost the contact, including going back to see Jesus and to see the dinosaurs, among other things that simply don't hold water, Anéeka says. Another big difference is that the Billy Meier used the word Pleiadian. And here they are explaining, Anéeka is explaining that this was Meier's excuse to explain that the Pleiades is too young of a system for life to have evolved there. Okay, let me just pause for a second, because many are saying, oh, the Pleiades are too young of a star system to hold life. There is no life there. It's impossible that there evolved life. So Meier's somehow went around that, and he said that no, that they are coming, the Taygetans are coming from Pleiadian, not Pleiades, which was another constellation, according to him, that was in the same direction as the M45 Pleiades, but in another density. And that is why it cannot be seen from Earth. That was his story, and Anéeka is saying this is simply not true. It has no veracity at all. Here she's explaining, she's addressing that issue of Pleiades being too young of a system. The way humans measure the age of a star system is simply wrong and very 3D. Time is not linear outside Earth, and what they see is simply their limited perception. What they see about everything outside Earth is only 60% of what is out there in 5D. 3D is only 60% of 5D. We can only see a small reflection of what's really out there. And no, she says, the Pleiades M45 is not a young system. It's as old as this solar system from our point of view. And even if it were too young to have any life evolve there, life does not evolve as they say on Earth. It is planted, it is sown. And Lyrian people from whom all of us descend, emigrated there as well. That's right. So everything humans know is wrong. Their science is not for searching for the truth. It is meant to control people, imposing ideas that fit the agenda of the ones in power. That's that, ladies and gentlemen, on that topic. So if you ever study the Billy Meier's material and see any differences, most likely, if not that's the reason, that's the reason. So that's that. That's all I have to say on this topic. So if you choose to go with what Billy Meier said on many topics, well, then so be it. Like Anéeka said, it's our word, their word, our word against his. In many times the problem here is also that some contactees are more accepted already than others, and that also affects your perception of who is more credible psychologically. Our case, for example, hasn't been, I think, officially regarded as the ET contact, and not many people still know about it. So, and Billy Meier, for example, is very, very, very famous. So of course, many people will go with that, but that's okay. That's completely fine with me. I know what I know, and I am here to present it. Now, last topic here is very short. Is about vaccines and DNA. Vaccines and DNA. And I'm not going to go too much into this. We are all more than over with this whole topic of the virus and vaccines and all that. We have stated many times what we think about this. And well, we will continue to stand by our word. The vaccines are the worst poison ever. Stay away from all the vaccines, all of them, not just coronavirus or flu vaccines, all of them. Stay away from them all, because this is their method to exterminate human population. And now there was a question from one of the followers on this topic, because as you remember, or maybe not, a long time ago Swaruu actually made an expose, an essay about DNA and genetics, and it was explained many times that the DNA, even if interfered, reverts to its original pattern. That's how it was a long time ago when the reptilians tried to genetically modify the Illyrians, the humans here, and they couldn't, because their genetics always used to go back to its original pattern, and that's why they went for mind control methods. So here someone is asking, okay, the vaccines are going to alter our DNA, are going to make a lot of these genetic alterations, but what about DNA going back to its original pattern? Yes. Okay, here Swaruu is responding. Yes, it will revert. But, listen to this very carefully, there is a problem inherent here. To revert, it needs some generations. It's not just going to happen overnight. It's not just going to happen so fast. It needs generations. So the problem here is with the vaccine. As you already know, it attacks a very specific protein found in the lungs as an excuse, but primarily found in the human testicle, rendering the vaccinated population sterile, meaning that there will be no future generations. So that's their genius plan, even knowing that the DNA goes back to its original etheric pattern, because that's where it originates. Then they devised this scheme to attack the human population with the vaccines that have those powers to reverse, to modify negatively human reproductive system and make us basically sterile. So this way they can exterminate the human population, because we will not be able to reproduce, and we will not have time for our DNA to revert. So here she's saying, many are still saying that they are not anti-vaccines, only against this specific COVID-19 one. Not enough. The problem is also found in all other vaccines. So the reversal, DNA reversal, is not a solution, and it will not be a solution. If the vaccines take effect, the same amount will die, and the species will disappear, basically. So it's crucial. We all stand up against the vaccines and spread around the word as much as possible, which I believe we still have the power to change all this. And that's why we are doing this job. That's why we are doing this work, to make you all aware of what they are planning, so you can be alert and so you can alert others, and so it doesn't happen. Okay? So thank you very much. I'm going to share with you next time the next episode of the extraterrestrial races, which is going to be Agarthians, yeah, those extraterrestrials that live underground. Agarthians, but they didn't always used to live underground, so you'll see the story. And then also Andromedans. And with that, we will finish the series, and after that I'm going to publish more information coming from Yazhi Swaruu, recent information, very good one. Then I'm going to publish older information about solar system, about wormholes and sun, etc. So, and the history of the planet Earth, also, not planet Earth, of the humanity. Also, I want to encourage you to quickly check out Pleiadian Knowledge, Christina's and Estellar's channel, because there was a nice video shared there about stars. Anéeka there is sharing her knowledge about stars as beings, what they are. It's a really quite fascinating information. So check that out. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching and participating. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.